projects with Hunt Wesson,
Mm-hmm.
and I can tell you about those. Those are interesting too.
Alright.
But they want to give me a box full of relays.
Mm.
And I says, I won't have it. I was director of engineering then. My people around me were shocked. We can't handle a box of relays.
Oh, shoot.
We don't have the personnel, and we don't want that unreliability. I want it with a programmable controller. And I told them which type. And they kept battling with me on it. So we had another meeting in Hayward. I had one flow sheet showing a programmable controller, and I had another sheet showing some sort of German mixer that it was a complicated mechanical thing. It had different heads on the same pump. It was very complex. I didn't really want it. And it was a big competitor to them. And I said, if you don't agree with the programmable controller, we'll use your competitor's product. It's just that simple.
Whoa, so you were poking the bear.
I did, and I won. When the thing was delivered, it was installed with a programmable controller that did not have any program.
So you had to program it.
So I had to program it very quick.
Wow.
And that was number one. Okay, time goes by, and we want to install it in a second plant. And I told my management, I want to create my own panel, my own program. And at that time, they had a programmer controller. These are not computers yet. They're all fixed memory, but you program it.
Okay.
A lot of chips.
Old school.
And so I started with a PM 550. And I think that was the year, somewhere along the line, they changed we were getting the Capri fill machines. And they had a bunch of mechanical shit that just didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And they had changed it to a TI I wasn't using, but that they wanted to use. But they did put a TI in it.
The TI is the Texas Instrument?
Yeah.
Controller?
Yeah. And, but anyway, I developed a new panel with a PM 550.
What does PM stand for?
I had no idea. I don't remember. Programmable something.
Module.
I don't know. It was just the name of it. They gave it.
Oh.
And I changed how we did things. I used different meters than they had used. And I think they originally had the meters in the panel, and I wanted them out in the field right at the source.
Right.
But that you could read electronically in your panel.
Right.
So we went through that era. And then I installed one in Gainesville,
Georgia.
And the plant manager there,
Doug Earl. No,
Doug was the QC.
Doug Moss was the QC manager. I can't remember.
I can't
Doug
remember his
something
name.
anyway.
Anyway, he was very sharp. And so he and I started, we had fairly good control, okay? We were looking for the next level of control, okay? And so, and he was a pretty sharp fella, and he got into what was going on and all that, as well as running a plant.
Wow.
So one day I said, you go to a gas station and you say you want $10 worth of gas. And then all of a sudden, if you notice near the end, it stops going fast and it slows down to
A trickle.
995, 996, 997, 9, etc. until you get to 10.
Right.
So that was the essence of a new light bulb that went off.
Nice.
So,
For filling the Capri Sun to the
Right.
perfect amount.
right.
Slow it down and.
So I had I had different pumps on everything.
Right.
What I did with the water and the fructose pump is I didn't go to a very speed. What I did is I calibrated very carefully how many pulses per minute or unit did it need to measure accurately. And I studied that very closely. So I knew what our window was. Within the program then, what I had to do within the program is I had to put an end of scan in while we were batching so that the runtime was cut in half because I was only reading half the program.
Mm-hmm.
So it could count more than it did before.
Right.
And then I went in and I did something you're not supposed to do. We had a valve, a sanitary valve that closed. And the sanitary valve is a plunger. It goes like this. Well, it had resistance as it was closing.
Right.
So I did an absolute no-no. I turned it around. So as it was closing, the force of the water was forcing it to close.
Hmm.
So it closed more rapidly. Then that solved the water and fructose.
Hmm.
Now on the juice, I had a vary pump already in there.
Mm-hmm.
So I slowed it down, slowed the count down, that we could control it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next trick is I bought provers. Prover is a tank that is exactly known capacity.
Hmm.
I had a 100-gallon tank, wasn't it, or 50-gallon
I
for
don't
the
remember,
fructose
it's so
and
long
water.
ago.
And so they could check, and then there's something in the program I could have them do to change the pulse counter cutoff.
Mm-hmm.
Then on the, I'm trying to think now, I did the same thing on juice. I reversed the valve
Right.
for the juice. About that time, we were getting product from Germany to support what we could make. We had needed more. And Sandy's lab tested the German product versus my product. And my product was more accurate to the standards than the German product.
My question is, did the Germans come and take lessons from you and fix Germany, or did they leave it with all their weird?
No.
No, they stole the information. Sandy and I were sent to Germany, and we frolicked. We had a good time. And, but we had a salesman that was an a-hole that didn't know the history of me and
Capri Sun.
Capri Sun. And he was taking us to visit plants where they had installed the new mix controller, which he said was the Mac Mix.
Mac Mix.
That's
The
cute.
Mac Mix. It was a copy of my PM550 panel.
So you fixed Germany.
So they somehow stole the program and the technology while they were in there.
They didn't credit you besides calling it Mac Mix?
Huh?
They didn't give you any.
They didn't credit you?
Oh, of
No.
course
They
not.
just stole it.
Other than, he said it was called the Mac Mix.
That's the only credit you get. That's
So
fine.
I got
Well,
credit.
it's in Germany,
that way.
so, you know, there's not
Yeah.
much you can do. But he had a sanitation program for cleaning all this equipment
Right.
automatically.
Mm-hmm.
And I was involved in it because I had wrote up a bunch of stuff on it. Anyway, I went to a SSDT meeting, Society of Software Technologists meeting, and one of the Pepsi guys put on a presentation of their new automated sanitation program. And it was his program.
Wow.
And I figured that the guy that they bought the equipment from
Stole it
stole it and sold it to Pepsi.
and
Oh my
resold it
gosh.
and made a
there's
good
nothing
profit.
you can do to prove it, so. It's two different things, that's for.
Well, you can actually look at the coding and the software, and if it's exact,
Well, they may have used it,
That's 40
I don't
years
know.
ago.
Yeah.
You can't do anything 40
go back
years
in
ago.
time and get 40
Yeah.
years of payment.
And the other thing, one of her underlings on the Columbus project, he
Oh.
said, I won't approve of the heat method. I said, what? It's a recognized technology.
Oh, he
wouldn't
didn't know
approve
what
it.
he was talking about.
And he wanted chemical
Instead of
cleaning
heat.
in the system.
Instead of heat,
Hmm?
he wanted chemical instead of heat.
Right.
He was a jerk. Also, I said on Capri Sun, when you fill it, it's gotta be filled at 180 degrees.
Right.
Not 179 or 180, it's gotta be 180 or 181, whatever. And they have to use, like they use bimetallic thermometers out in the plant.
Right.
And they had to use mercury and glass to calibrate that thing. And you use like oil, hot oil, and that's how you calibrate it. And so you calibrate the bimetallic to the mercury and glass. And this is something that's that's a legal thing. And I went in the lab, and there it was, and they were two different things. And he said, well, they're close. I said, no, they gotta be exactly the same.
Wow.
He picked one of them up and threw it across the room. He didn't like me at all.
Okay.
Wow.
What I did to solve that problem, I said, okay, you run your damn chemicals first, but the last thing you do is run the heat program. And
Oh,
he
yeah.
agreed to do that,
But they stopped doing that too.
but,
The chemical was absolutely ridiculous.
So their products probably came out less quality.
no,
No, it's
This was
oil
our
if
plant
it's not clean.
that wanted to do with
Yeah,
chemical.
this is the guy that worked for me, but I got rid of him, so.
And
What was his name?
I had the original German technology did call for heat sanitation. So I did build that in
To the
to all
program.
my programs. But he wanted to get rid of heat sanitation, and I said no.
Yeah, if you have.
It's like
the
pasteurization,
chemicals,
right?
Hmm?
And you
It's like
have
pasteurizing
a
it.
little pock mark, or where
That's
like
a
a bolt
reverse of
fits
it.
in or
Right.
something.
It's just
You're
better
not gonna
technology.
get that thing clean. You've got to have, the heat will kill the bacteria.
Right.
And you try to explain that to somebody that's an idiot.
What plant was that? Columbus, you said?
Columbus.
Yeah, he was a.
Ohio?
That was the
What
first
did you
one.
work as?
That was the
Huh?
only one
What
that
was your
challenged
title
me.
that you
Right.
worked as?
I was a director of quality assurance.
But,
Oh, okay. And that's,
And when I worked at Hunt Wesson, they put in a, very, very